Hello, Alaska. Nice to have you all here today for Meet the Candidate. We are here at the Family Matsu Restaurant in Wasilla, Alaska. And today I'm sitting down with Representative Sharon Jackson, who is running for District 13. Introduce yourself, Sharon, and tell us where District 13 is.
Well, as you said, I am the sitting representative for District 13, which is Chugayak, Eagle River, and J-Bear.
Where is J-Bear?
So Joint Base. Sorry.
That's okay.
Technical difficulties in the background. So J-Bear is Joint Base Elmendorf and Richardson. I have the Fort Richardson side of J-Bear.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And, so anybody that lives there, vote for Sharon Jackson.
That's right. Actually, it's a wonderful place to canvass. I canvass the base as a representative, not as a candidate, because I respect the laws of the land. And it was wonderful to hear how excited they were to meet their representative. They have never had a representative stop by and meet them. So it was a great time.
That's unbelievable. I mean,
isn't that amazing?
It is.
Well, most representatives are not veterans like myself, so I do have base access. So access, people. Yes.
And I always like to start out these conversations with throwing out the binding caucus. It's become a big issue in Juneau. Really came to the limelight this year at the beginning of the sessions, and Senator Schauer and a few others had all signed in on a couple of bills to eliminate and remove the binding caucus rule. A lot of bills that get passed out there is based upon the votes that have been pretty much assigned over to a small handful of people to push an agenda that they may have that those that signed into this caucus didn't necessarily agree with. If I was to say to you, Sharon, I want you to join my binding caucus, and I will give you the prime committees, I will give you the front row parking spots sitting outside of the building there, I will make sure all the little nuances of legislation that you would like to see in certain bills be put into it. But it doesn't mean that I'm going to guarantee you these things are going to get passed. I'm just going to allow you to have all of this stuff. But when it comes to these certain bills that we're going to pass here later on in the year, this year and next year, I want you to be a yes vote. Would you sign my binding caucus rule that they have in Juneau right now?
Well, I'm going to tell you this. If you spend time in Juneau, you wouldn't come to me with that question, right? When you are true to who you are, you're true to your district and what the people ask of you, I'm not available for that conversation. The voices of my constituents, they're not for sale. I'm not there to get your approval. I'm not there for your shiny objects. I'm there to be the voice of the people.
I love that answer. I really do.
It's the truth.
Well, I'm going to throw a little twist to the binding
Go
caucus
for it.
rule. It's your party that's in control.
Yes. Okay, so I'm going to throw you a twist in this. So as my first experience in the legislature, I was in the minority. We weren't a binding caucus. And for the reasons you're asking me this question, because if you don't do what other people want you to do, you're kicked out, you're out of here. Well, when I'm a freshman and I'm sitting there, well, I wasn't there when they kicked Representative Eastman out, right? I don't think that would have gone down too well.
Eastman, at the time Representative Reinbold, who now Senator Reinbold.
Yes, so this is a different situation. So you're saying with the majority, they have a binding caucus. When you're in the minority, it's not binding.
Right. But
okay.
Now you're in the majority because...
Well, wait, let's talk about the whole thing. Bear with me for a minute because I hear these conversations. They're wonderful conversations. I love the light that is being shined on dark areas. So what I'm saying, though, my experience, and understand Senator Reinbold is my senator. So I've watched her over the years and broom closets and all that stuff. There's another point to this that I think we all need to hear loud and clear. I was in a non-binding caucus. So how can you kick someone out of a non-binding caucus? Right?
Well, you said the key word there. It's you are a caucus, but you are not binding your vote to those people's or one or two of those in that caucus's views.
So how can you kick someone out? I'm just saying, right? So a caucus to me is a group of Republicans, conservative, constitutional loving patriots. We all have the same heart, same mind for the people. Now, I respect different districts have different requirements. However, I thought I knew that you have the security of those around you that were overall going in with the same mission, right?
Right.
Okay, so I hope you're understanding what I'm saying. There's no binding. I read everything. I don't sign a bill without knowing what I'm signing. So therefore, I can't buy your property without knowing what this property is. With a binding caucus, there is no property, but they're going to promise to sell you some property. I'm not available for that. I'm not buying nothing.
So you see it and know what's in it.
That's it.
Okay.
That's it, right? So, yeah, that's a non-starter for me.
Got several issues that you're going to face when you go back to Juneau. You've got several bills that have been being crafted and formulated over the last couple of years, especially this last year. Coronavirus put a big halt on a lot of those that were being worked through. Three of the major ones that I like to point out and highlight is HB 300, HB 306, and HCR 13. These are all basically crafted after the bicameral PFD group that met last year. They came up with their 6 plans. Mm-hmm. They took those 6 plans and said, well, we're not going to include inflation proofing in it for the permanent fund dividends, nowhere in those plans. Mm-hmm. And we're going to use tax revenue to pay the permanent fund dividend. And then because of the tax revenue, we're going to have to cap the permanent fund dividend, which is kind of what they self-imposed with SB 26. They say we only got this much money, even though it's not a written part of the law. Mm-hmm. They still say we only have just this much money that we can spend every year. And well, this much of the budget took it first, and there's not enough to pay you your permanent fund dividend. So HB 300 and 306 was their 6 plans. It's all been combined into one bill, HB 300. Mm-hmm. There is a good possibility, depending on who is in control, when you go back in January, this is going to be one of those bills that is going to be pushed out onto the floor again to be rediscussed. It has passed through your guys' area already this year, so it's not like you got a chance to stop it at this current point. It's now in the hands of the Senate. And God willing, we have a very conscientious-minded legislators that are in the Senate that are going to work for the people. And, in my opinion, throw a Mitch McConnell into the wrenches and be the Grim Reaper with these bills and just make sure that they never see the light of day again.
Yes.
But with our current legislators that we have in power right now, and if they are brought back into Juneau, there's a real possibility these bills are going to get passed. That means that you're going to end up being the final vote when it comes time for these bills. All three of them are designed to turn our ERA into tax revenue to be used to do nothing more than pay the budget permanently. And depending on which of the 6 plans you look at, either give us a permanent fund dividend or completely eliminates it within 2 years to where there won't ever be one. I mean, currently right now they're talking about they go back next year. We're not going to see a permanent fund dividend this year because they don't have enough money in tax revenue, not what's in our ERA and Corpus, that $65+ billion there, that just in tax revenue to pay us a permanent fund dividend this year. If you get back to Juneau, you've got SB 26 and the statutory PFD laws as what we currently have on the books. They have been ignoring the statutory PFD laws completely and saying SB 26, the POMV draw they created, is the only law that they choose to follow, which in all honesty, they don't follow that one neither.
Nope.
So if you get back to Juneau, do you have any plans for SB 26? I mean, I know myself personally, I'd love to see it repealed, gone, like SB 91. It's a bad law.
Exactly, right. So I'm an optimist. I have enough faith for the state of Alaska, and I believe in the people. And when we, the people, start paying attention and really seeing this truth rise to the surface, we then start taking action. And with that said, I believe the people are going to, I think the people are going to be busy. So I am not thinking about who was there. I'm looking forward to see who the people send to Juneau. And like you said, at that point, there's no way it will pass the Senate because we have a few senators that I know I can count on. My Senator Laura Rainbow being one, for sure. That's not going to go anywhere, you know? So, and as you said, just in case, if same ones go in, it still will come back to the House. So I pray that we fill the House with patriots that are going to represent all the voices of our Republican, conservative, constitutional loving people of Alaska, right?
God bless that. I really do hope that happens.
Yeah,
so
you know,
I know I'm working hard.
Yeah, you are, and I'm glad you said that. I appreciate your hard work. I really do. I've watched you from the beginning and watched you grow in your craft here and truth sharing. And it's wonderful to see you excelling and rising and doing very well. A lot of people do appreciate you, although I'm sure truth offends a lot of people as well. But that's okay. You're tough.
It does, and
You're
thank
tough.
you.
You're tough.
I get asked all the time, how do I deal with it? Why do I not get angry? Why does it seem I always have a smile on my face? And I say it's honestly, I enjoy what I'm doing.
Yes.
I found a passion for it.
Good for you.
It keeps me smiling. So with the binding code, we've got a lot of things that we've got the big monkeys in the room. We got K through 12, early learning. We've got their budgets. Just to throw a few numbers out there for you, we've got back in 2018, $2.47 billion was allocated for early learning in K through 12. We're told over and over and over again by those that are in charge of the House and the Senate that the budgets have been cut, that the education budget has been cut. But when you look at the actual numbers, in 2018, 1.24 billion, and now here we are in 2020, and they have $1.3 billion allocated and budgeted for this next year. That's a $60 million increase right there. That seems really far from a cut like they keep claiming to us.
Yes, we have not cut. There has been several attempts, including the veto overrides, to cut spending, but what happened? all the veto overrides were put back into the budget. So again, I'm depending on the people of Alaska, the patriots, to send true patriots in there to do the job that we are there to do.
Get out there and vote.
Get out there and vote.
August
18th.
I can't emphasize that one
Yes,
enough.
yes, seriously, because this, it's really not a joke. Like where we are today is not sustainable for our state. It is not possible. So we need a cadre of patriots going in there, military, so some thoughts came to mind, but on the budget specifically, we need to get in there and do what we must do. And one of those things is, like, the waste is horrendous. The waste is horrendous. So we need to go in there and find the waste, which was found in the beginning of our session, remember?
It was, yeah.
It was found.
You guys had darn near, if I go for my last 3+ years that I've been reporting on the budget that's going out there.
Yeah.
They had one year, they had almost $1.5 billion in cuts presented,
Yes.
and they were all rejected by those in control.
Yes.
This past year, another $600 million in cuts were offered. More than that, it was closer to $1 billion, but what actually made it to the final version was around $600 million in cuts. And they added those all right back in and increased it, and then by another $600 million more. Then Governor Dunleavy, after they signed those bills off, they sent it to Governor Dunleavy, and Governor Dunleavy cut $300 million of that,
Sure
increased
did.
right back off of there.
Sure
again.
did, and we had our ribbons. This is interesting to me because growing up, there's 5 of us. And I remember, as most of you will, so remember when your parents say, it's time to tighten up on the budget, right?
Yep.
Remember? And
I
as a
still say it
kid,
myself today.
Exactly, we do. Exactly. So as a kid, I'm like, oh boy, that means no sugar-covered cereals and no desserts, and we're not going out, and I'm lucky if I get Kool-Aid. But one thing I knew for sure, once the finances get back in order, it always came back, It did. So what the budget, and our Governor Dunleavy ran on cutting this budget, getting our fiscal house in order. And we, the people, voted for him, sent him in there, and when he did it, like this shock factor, like the shock factor.
That was
who would have known? And so he did what he said, and so now you have a few people upset, and you can imagine why. I feel like we hit a power center that we didn't know was there, right?
the ones
and being an electronic technician, and you know what I'm talking about, you hit that power source wrong, and it's like boosh, right?
blows everything up.
Blows it up.
I have smoked more than one device in my lifetime.
So you know, I say that to say that people ask us to do something. We went in there to do it.
Tried.
Well,
I say tried because recall Dunleavy came out.
It did.
The head of the organizations that you're trying to cut, Alaska AFL-CIO,
oh, boy.
NEA Alaska, CIRI, Rasmussen Foundation.
University,
they all joined.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, they all joined
They
they all joined the recall group. They all financed it. They're the ones pushing those budget cuts to be put back in. You can't cut even 1 penny is too much.
Okay, so I'm gonna bring your memory back to our special session, our second special session that was called here in Wasilla, right? And our governor totally had a right to call special session wherever he chose it to be. So, law-abiding citizens, how can you write law if you can't follow law? I follow the law. We all need to follow the law. Otherwise, why be there
I remember
creating laws?
I remember you being there every day.
I sure
as
was.
I was there every day.
I sure was. Remember the young. There's a difference between protesting and riot.
Or anarchists.
Like when you're physically getting involved and taking over seats that, that's not yours. That's not a peaceful protest. Remember the screaming? Like, we had no idea.
Screaming, the chanting, the banging on the tables,
yes.
Taking over the podium's microphone.
Yeah, so it was funny because no one sat at my table. And then when we switched to the other side, they rushed over. No one sat at my table. I'm just saying.
One of my most memorable moments of that happening was you.
What?
And you got up and you started singing. And you shut, literally, whether they want to admit it or not, you shut that crowd down for a short period of time and actually got them to join in.
Yes, right?
And,
so let me tell you something about that. That was interesting because before going out, we decided a senator would do the prayer, House rep will do the pledge, right? And right before we went out, the senator says, I'm not comfortable in doing the prayer. I'm like, fine, you do the pledge, I'll do the prayer. So I went out, going to do a prayer. And as you notice, when you watch me here or hear me on the radio, I'm not a speech person. I'm just as authentic as I know. So when Senator Costello got up there and she was, trying to wait for a gap between the noise to, and I went up to her. I said, should I pray? And she goes, no, process. I'm like, okay, process. And I sat back down and I watched her. And when I saw nothing was going on, I went up. And I looked at the people and felt the energy. Remember that energy in that room? I opened my mouth and started singing Amazing Grace. That was not planned.
I know.
That was not planned. But it was interesting how, everybody stood up. Protesters, I'm looking around, protesters singing. So, they know better. The point that I'm getting here is they were sent down. So the group of people that was there, the night before, the university had they had that big concert.
The one at the one in Anchorage.
Yes,
that's
sir.
at the stadium there, and that couple thousand people showed up for the free concert they threw.
Yes. So I was watching your video. The next day, and I like to hear what's going on behind what you're doing, right? I don't miss much, folks. So I'm hearing the kids in the background talking about the party and the alcohol, and I'm like, what the heck is this, right? And it wasn't until the news, and they had the protesters speak, and they were from the university.
Yep.
And they were passing out flyers that I think are a great campaign tool, because they had a few of our faces and they said, these people will change Alaska forever, right?
For the positive.
Right? So we can take everything
but that's not the message they were giving, but these were the legislators that are doing what's right for everybody.
That's right. And they had one with me behind bars and said, "It could be found on Wasilla," right? I need to get that one and use it. But the point is, they were in my opinion, people, in my opinion, they were paid to go down there and do this. The reason I say that is because after we left Wasilla, this same group of college students, starving college students, are downtown Anchorage with brand new tents. Remember what they did next?
Occupy downtown Anchorage. They were in the Delaney Park Strip.
Yes.
Took it over there for a couple weeks.
Invited the homeless. They made a big mess. The sad part is when I followed the flyer that was sent out at that concert, it came from a staff, financial, the staff person was financial aid at the university. And I'm like, why would they let this information be known? Or why wouldn't you be smart enough to have someone outside of the university do this, to be able to follow it back to the Office of Financial Aid and see this money spent? So when we're talking about cutting budgets, and you think about the money that was spent to have this party, money that, like, I'm sending out flyers, I know how much it's expensive.
It is.
Right? So that's a lot of money, and it was so premature. The president of the university, changes here, thank goodness. But the thing was, the professors, I have friends that are professors at UAA, and they were totally disregarded. The students was disregarded, and it was all about the money.
Yes.
So we need to cut the money. We can do it. I look at it as there's a fire.
The virus itself gave us a prime opportunity.
Hello.
I can't hesitate to throw this in there right now.
Yeah.
Virtual classrooms. I mean, my own kiddo is, as of last night, has enrolled into an internet-based school that's out of Fairbanks.
Beautiful.
She did her research.
Yes.
I took the time and said, if you want to do this, you got to prove to me which program will provide you the highest quality education. And she sat down and she did the one that's being offered in Florida to the local one that we have here in the Valley, and then and then you got the one that is done through Fairbanks. Did you know that the one that is in Fairbanks has higher scores for testing and graduation rates than 98% of the brick and mortar schools that we have here in Alaska right now?
You hear this?
Listen. I will be coming out with an article here real soon because she wrote everything down and broke down the statistics for the state. And I'm just going, you wouldn't believe how many times I've thought of doing this myself, and here's my kiddo doing it for me, trying to convince me to let her go to this virtual classroom.
You're saying something here that I really want to bring attention to. You gave your daughter an opportunity to take self-responsibility. You gave her an opportunity to research what was best for her. Yes. I commend you as a father to do that, right? A lot of times we don't listen to our students. Like in Eagle River, let's go to one of our issues there. So with the earthquake, right, we had some schools damaged.
Yes.
Okay, so
that the $82 million in bonds just got passed here in this year in April, I think it was.
Okay, so I go to a meeting with, Department of Education and,
the school board.
School board, and right, and I was there excited to hear what the young people wanted. I won't call them kids. They deserve more credit than that. And I talked to students on a school student council, right? And the students were saying, we like going to school together. We like it because it gives us more options of classes we can take, and they're giving me all these wonderful reasons. And so I sit there waiting for their chance to get up to speak about what works for them, and they never had that opportunity. So, like you said, the bond passed. What I would like to see, I would like to see the school that we're about to invest a lot of money in, I would like to see that become like another a vocational school. If the kids are happy, young people are happy sharing the high school, Chugiak, Eagle River, let them do that. The capacity is there, so
it is.
that's
It's
not
like
a
it's
problem.
overflowing.
That's right.
It's not like what they had to do for Houston out here and build
See,
tons and tons of relocatables outside to accommodate the extra flow. in.
that's right. That's right. So why not use Growing Middle School and make it a vocational school? Start teaching our young people, give them an option of trade. Like King Tech, whatever. But Eagle River and the population could really use that opportunity. So we have to take, and COVID, you brought it out, is giving us an opportunity to reevaluate how we are living our lives and what we're doing with it. So going back to your daughter, I'm so proud of her, and I see this opportunity for a lot of young people. And we were talking about it, but the Supreme Court decision where the money follows the student.
Yes, we were discussing that before we went live today.
Yes,
Yeah.
we were. What a wonderful decision, a benefit to the parent and the students to have options.
And to know that money follows their kid
Yes.
instead of, well, you're stuck with it going here because that's the district you live in.
Yes. So, yes, that, I once heard a comedian say money doesn't make you rich, options do. Well, now we're at a point where we have options, or we should be creating options, because that's what this has given us, an opportunity to rebuild what they call how do they call it, the new normal?
The new normal, yeah.
Well, guess what? As we're visionaries, as we have ideas, as your daughter did, we need to take these visions and apply them to better our Alaska. Like, I know Alaska has brighter days coming. However, we all have a part in that. And as a legislator, as you're bringing up all these bills and skeletons from right, we as legislators, I believe, have not only the responsibility to make sure our budget is within sustainable limits.
Yeah, well, just like any normal Alaskan, you got to live within your budget. You can't just keep extending yourself.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's all going to get taken away.
Exactly. And like, we're not exempt people, we're not. However, this gives us an opportunity to have a vision of what we would like to see. Like, I believe I'm a part of, and I should be a part of, giving like results, like ideas of what we can do. Be a part of the solution is the bottom line of what I'm saying. And we can do that because we're in a position, it's like a puzzle, and we have an opportunity as a sitting legislator is to see different parts of this puzzle, and we can put the pieces together, and voila, We have a budget that we can live with. We have our permanent fund dividends. That is our constitutional. Well, we're going to make it our constitutional right, right? But it's in statute.
Primaries, August 18th. It's our chance to make that happen.
Yes, yes, and the whole idea is it's in statute, people. That means it's in law, and before any of it is changed with all your numbers, 306 and all that stuff, right?
Yep.
The people should tell us what to do.
We had one opportunity back in 1999, same circumstances coming up. They sent it to the people to vote on.
Yes. What happened?
83% overwhelmingly, and this was against heavily paid for opposition to vote yes on using it for government spending. We Alaskans, when given a chance to actually vote, came out in overwhelming numbers and told them no.
I have a question for you.
But they won't give us that chance now.
Well, I have a question for you. Why haven't we started a initiative, right? So here in Alaska, we have different ways of doing things. Why haven't we done that yet?
I cannot tell you why. I mean,
why have we not done that yet, people? I'm just saying, right?
Well,
there's more ways.
You're talking like getting a grassroots type campaign going out there.
Absolutely.
I mean, I do know that there are people that are out there every day that are doing exactly that. But we have one big major opposition that tries to make sure that our voices are silenced on a consistent basis. And I'll just throw out one name out there right now because they are the opposition. We got Recall Dunleavy. They are the opposition that would prefer to see our permanent fund dividend be spent on government and what they pay for than to go out to all Alaskans. They claim otherwise, but why are they out there making it happen?
So, okay, I'm going to interview you for a second.
Okay.
Are you telling me that they are smarter than patriots? I remember
they're better financially backed to get their voices heard.
I tell you what.
And I don't understand why that is.
Yes.
I mean, I myself
you
have
know
donated,
why all that dirty money coming in from lower 48 trying to tell Alaskans how to live Alaska, right?
Like the ballot initiative number 2 that we're going to vote on in November, the jungle primaries, ranked choice voting, vote by mail.
See?
And the one and only thing that is good about that bill, and the only thing that should be there, and all the rest of it they could just trash can, is the dark money. Actually opening it up for people to see where that money is coming from. But it doesn't stop outside campaign groups like Recall Dunleavy from pulling in their own organization and still bringing all of this money in. Kind of look at right now, why are they so silent? For weeks and months, I'm hearing from them 3-4 times a day.
Right.
As soon as it got to primary, and the candidates started to go out and being able to start legally allowed to start doing their door knocking out there.
And COVID, right?
Yeah.
And COVID.
But all of a sudden they've gone quiet on that front. But you look at the money that's being poured into these campaigns out there. If I was a suspicious conspiracy type person, I would say Recall Dunleavy has taken all of their resources and are now putting it into the candidates they want to see reelected again.
Okay, so going back to my question, I remember right here in Wasilla, back, what was it, when we...
you've got...
If
you're talking last year or prior?
No, prior, 2009, 2010, Tea Party, right?
Okay.
The Tea Party movement. There was, like, when patriots get together and decide to do something, I witnessed there is nothing to stop them from doing it. We try to sell ourselves oh, well, it takes money. No, it just takes a bunch of people.
I'll throw something out there.
Bring in.
It happens to be in a big part of why we're not seeing it now. Those are the leaders. The ones
What
that
leaders?
are the party leaders, the ones that would normally be forcing to help get these grassroots moving. A lot of them are no longer grassroots anymore.
Yeah, but they have kids. I'm just saying, you know what? So you're saying the leaders are not there. I'm looking at a bunch of leaders watching what I'm saying, and they're going to be making a decision on August 18th who they're going to send. So what I'm saying, we have to stop buying into all this junk the world is trying to sell us right now. Oh, you need money. Money don't vote, people do, right? Right?
True.
Okay, so and we have President Trump. Remember how Hillary was out spending, and they had the best
digits.
Brown gang, right? We have to stop buying into the noise that is not true and ground ourselves in one, the patriots that we are, the God-loving people that we are, and with that, faith is there. We have to stand strong in our faith, because faith is the substance of things hoped for, not yet seen. You can't be and fear false evidence appearing real and faith at the same time. So we have to choose which F we're going to ground ourselves in. And mine is faith. And when you have that, like, it's not by sight. We can't let sight trick us up, because that's what it's there for. And let me give you an example of that. If you write the word love and you hold it up in a mirror, it's what? Backwards, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're brushing your hair and you're looking in the mirror, you think you're seeing reality, right? It's not, it's backwards. So we have to train and reshift our perspective, and knowing that, like, our God-given rights, right? You think about our forefathers, they were young. So I know that there was some wisdom from a higher God, that's all I know, flowing this wisdom through them. And so...
And they risked it all, too.
Oh, they all lost
they lost
everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Unlike what we have today, these people aren't going to lose anything. They're self-serving, in it for what they can get out of it, and
Isn't
they can
that a
care
shame?
less about anything else after that, versus our forefathers lost their homes, lost their
Everything.
livelihoods, lost their family members,
Sure
lost their
did.
own lives.
For us to be here today. And so if you're wondering why I'm upset that the world is tearing down our history, hello, if you don't know where you came from, you're going back.
You're going to repeat it
You're
again.
going to repeat it.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Like today, they have in the House down in D.C. Discussing taking down all of the statues that are there in the halls. And
Oh, my goodness.
They're working to make sure that I think it's 12 statues that are there that they want completely removed. Nancy Pelosi has already removed the House speakers. And do you want to know the irony for me is about all this?
What's that?
Every single person they want removed was a Democrat.
Okay.
Every single one of them.
Okay.
It just blows me away. Every House Speaker they removed, I went and I Googled their names so that I could learn who these people were, because we're going back centuries here. This is before my time.
Oh, yeah.
So
And
I'm
they're
making sure who these
beautiful.
presidents or House Speakers were that were there. And ironically, it's a Democrat. It's a Democrat. It's a Democrat. I'm looking for the Republican that got removed, or where's these Republicans been removed?
Guess what? Here we go. COVID is changing things, but this is interesting because I feel like COVID, even though we're being asked to wear our mask, the false masks that people's been wearing for a long time are like falling off. and light and truth is being exposed. So here she is pandering, mind you, to want to take them down in the first place.
Yep.
But she don't even realize she's taken away what built up to be the mess that we have right here, right now. So guess what's coming?
Repeating of
No, I see, because when you go into the Hall of Congress and you see the beautiful artwork, and I don't want to get into how much we spent for that artwork, but just think you walk in there and now you're looking at Republican statues up in there.
Yeah.
Hey.
I never did kind of get that thought there.
Oh, yeah, you gotta. Oh.
So it's when it's all through, you won't have a Democrat to idolize
Not
inside of the
one.
halls no more because they're going to be all Republican.
Yes. Hello. Right. So yes.
I always got to, whenever I get on this particular subject, I want to bring up, like they say that we had the switch happen back in the 60s where Republicans became the races and the Democrats became the non-races. But I was doing a little research on that, and I find it kind of funny that the switch was one Republican and one Democrat that during the 60s switched parties. But all the racist Democrats were still in the racist Democrat party.
That's right. So this is interesting. So let's go here, right?
Okay.
All right. So Joseph Rainey, I am on a board of director for a national public policy group, and they named it Joseph Rainey. Do you know who Joseph Rainey is?
It does not ring a bell.
Good, let me educate you. And a whole bunch of people. So Joseph Rainey, back in the 1800s, he was the first slave, one of the first slaves that served in the House of Congress. And he was the first African American to be Speaker of the House. Republican, mind you. So what you're saying, you know, all of our leaders that we respect were Republicans.
I agree with you completely, and just to kind of add on to it, wasn't it until the 1970s before the Democrat Party brought in their own people of color into their party? I mean, and Republicans have been doing it, so you're naming there from...
Oh, yeah, like the Republican Party was founded because we were trying to get rid of slavery.
Yeah.
The Republican Party was founded to fight that battle.
And the 13th and 14th and 15th Amendments were all passed by the Republican Party.
That's right. So, and this goes to show is if you know your history, it helps you now. And so, you know, the point is this party, as far as I'm concerned, was founded for me.
Well,
right?
I mean, I've grown.
I love sharing.
I've grown up my whole life to be, and all. I get knocked for it all the time. I'm colorblind.
Okay.
I cannot see. I look at a person and what are you capable of doing? What have you done? What can, if you're ignorant about something, how can I help educate you? If you're educated, what can you help teach me?
Hello.
It has nothing to do with the color of your skin
It
or
sure
where
doesn't.
you come from. You're going to be treated just as equally as I would treat anybody else, and I expect to be treated the exact same way.
So, especially here in Alaska. So, when I was in the military, I'm going to tell you, I had a master sergeant looking for a scout before he retired, okay? And the young lady I replaced, he was trying to get her kicked out of the Army. And she was a black young lady, for promotable to sergeant. And for some reason, this man did not want her to be promoted. He put her through all kinds of heck, and she made it out and she got transferred to another unit. I went in and sat in that seat, and it continued. Like that man put me through some stuff. And I remember standing outside of the door on base, and there's the big totem pole, you know, and I'm wondering, is that a curse, right? Like, what is all this? But one day I was in the ladies' room crying, because when I say he put me through, I mean he put me through emotionally, mentally. You know, it was just the heaviest challenge I remember having. And another sergeant came in the ladies' room, African-American sergeant, and she goes, "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" And I'm like, "Well, Master Sergeant, such and such." She goes, "You stop that crying and deal with this like a black woman." I stopped my crying, and that taught me, when someone's trying to take you down, I beat them with success. So I stopped my crying, and I went back in there. I got out from under him, because when you stand up for yourself, it's amazing what you can accomplish. I went for Soldier of the Month, made it. Soldier of the Quarter, I made it. And I went for Soldier of the Year, right? Missed it by a few. However, I excelled. So we found out we have something in common. So when it was time for me to re-enlist or get out, I decided on a Friday, go ahead and get out and go to school, because I wanted to repair office equipment, copiers, fax. Right?
Yep.
We just found out today. And
we got a similar background in that area there.
Yes, we do. And I applied for the position. I went to school because it's a male predominant field.
I'm going to throw one extra out there to you. I was the youngest person to ever be running a company for the Xerox here in the state of Alaska. And I was a long-haired hippie.
Oh, cute.
I had hair down to my shoulder blades down in the back. And for them to, in some ways, it's kind of like what you're describing here, to get into it and to be not the crew cut, wearing the suit, fitting their model and of advanced age, because they wanted people over 40, and I was in my 20s.
Right. Me too, actually.
So yeah, it's trying to get into those areas. They discriminated against you just because of the way you look.
Yeah, but
or because of the gender you are.
Well, so I figure, and I'm a product of charter college, because I wanted to get straight to the point, get out and start working. Right? And I did, and 2 weeks before I graduated, I got called for that position. So I ended up going back to my office in the military, walking down the halls of the battalion in my suit with my tool case, that briefcase, and repairing office equipment for real. So something I learned back then is Alaska has two colors for real: white and green, snow and money. If you have an ambition and you want to do something, this is the place to be.
Get out there and do it.
Get out there and do it. I dare somebody to tell me no. I'm just saying. The more you tell me no, the more I'm going to drive. Hey, tell me no, please. No, vote yes.
Unless it's 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah. Stay away from the junket.
Got to do those barbs at those ballot measures.
Yes.
That's ones that not to vote yes for.
Don't vote yes on those. No. Stack voting.
Yeah. If we think we're in a
no
financial
oil
crisis.
Tax. Yeah. So you know what? Actually, where it appears like we're at this terrible point, we have a great opportunity to turn this around and make it work for us.
We do.
However, don't be duped. Know who you're voting for. Okay, so let's do this. I don't know if this is a question. Sorry, I took over your interview here, right?
This is actually what this is all about.
Good.
This notebook here is for those that do not understand what the issues are.
Okay.
And then if we need something to fill in, I flip the page and say, all right, I want to make sure I get that number correct. So
absolutely. So I want to talk about this time that we're dealing with, and I believe is deeper than what we are given it credit for. I believe we're dealing with spiritual warfare. Okay? And I'm not trying to push Bible on nobody, but if you read that Bible, it tells you all of this. Everything we're going through, it's been written. I'm surprised they haven't tried to throw that away yet. We need to be careful, people.
They are
we need to be careful, people. Seriously, right?
I mean, look at our schools. You can be a Muslim and have your prayer time in school because they've made sure of it. But if you're a Christian, you're no longer allowed.
If we don't stand up, wake up, and this is our country. This is our Alaska. This is our home. So just as much as we love our Second Amendment rights, right, we need to stand up and protect our home. Like with the military, first major commitment I made, well, kind of second, but I made in my life. And when I raised my hand and swore to protect this country and our Constitution against foreign and domestic, that never goes away. You can take that uniform off and put on a dress and heels, right? That commitment never go away. So when we vote on August 18th, make sure you know who or what you're voting for, because the deception we experience in this current, still it's not past session yet, but what we experience, that is unacceptable.
And it's going on full display right now.
Oh man, so I say the angel you know is better than the angel you don't know. So if you know you have a patriot sitting in this seat and there's nothing easy about this, it's tough. Like, we got beat up, kicked around, and I still wouldn't sell the voices of the people, and I never will. So why would you gamble what you know for sure?
Yeah.
Why would you gamble? She's going to protect our PFD. She's not selling our voices to a binding caucus or anything else. Like, you know what you have. I have a record. Check it out. A voting record. So Action Jackson was what they call me, but base it on our actions. Don't fall for the sweet singing songs of what you want to hear.
I'm going to throw one out there. I mean, the Senator Kathy Giesel, she has advocatively been the worst Senate president that I have ever seen in office, and the agenda that is being pushed out there. And I am bringing up her name because currently she's got campaign ads running on the radio saying, I am the champion and protector of your all's PFDs. Yet she is the number one, and literally this is part of the Save the PFDs groups out there's rally point, the number one PFD thief. She is more concerned about making sure that permanent fund dividend is there to pay for government and the special interests that they're paying for then making sure the people that it belongs to gets our fair share of our mineral wealth that we gave up to become the greatest state in the United States.
So this is good, regardless of what name you put in there. There's a few names that you can plug in there.
That list is long.
Like,
yes.
and I'm not here to tell you about the actions of anyone. As a matter of fact, you know how I preserve my loving heart to continue to love everybody. Everyone in Juneau, to me, are two people. The person that the God dwells in you. I see the good potential in everyone. And we have free agency, so we choose what we do. So there's the person who they are, and then the decisions that they make and what they do. Don't vote for this. You have to vote based on the actions. Action speaks louder than words. We all know that,
well,
right?
You've personally got a voting record that is darn near 100% conservative. And I say darn near because anybody that, in my opinion, that can keep over a 90%
Yes.
is someone worth re-voting back in. Anybody that drops below 90%,
Yes.
they've sold out the people that put them into office in the begin with when it comes to the conservative or...
Yeah.
And I really hate having to say this. You are part of the conservative party. You're not a part of the Republican Party. You are a part of the Conservative Party because the Republican Party seems to have lost their way.
Okay, I'm going to stop you. Let's stop.
They lost their conservative values.
Let's stop because I don't like to generalize, right? And when you say the Republican Party, then you're putting a lot of really good people in a basket with a few bad apples, right? There's a few bad apples that's making everybody look bad. And I'm not going to, I told you, stop buying that stuff, right? Don't buy that. There's a lot of good, conservative, patriotic, Constitution-loving Republicans, and that's what we stand on. But it's more than that. It's about serving. It's about being of service. To be in this position, to me, one thing I had to do was I had to be willing to put my life aside, like in the military, right? When you put that on that uniform, you are then property of the United States of America. Yeah. Property of. So when I put on my legislative suit, I'm now property of the people of District 13 and all people in the state of Alaska that feel the same way they do, right?
Well, I wouldn't put the word property in
No, there. Well, I can, and because I know where you're going, but like I don't have hang-ups, right?
Well, I'm just
but I'm saying I belong.
Other people watching.
Yeah,
right, so
yeah, but
I want to make sure that it's clear that you're not. So that I want to make sure they understand.
You see what's happening here, right? Still buying that stuff. I'm secure in who I am, right? I know who I am, so I don't need. Yeah, you don't have to do all that. Okay. But what I am saying, the point remains the same. It's not about me, it's about you. And that's what we need more of. Like us being service technicians. We go into an office, we fix that equipment so that business can make their deadline so that they can run their business, right? And it's the same thing, serving the people. Going in there and do what they ask us to do so that we can continue to enjoy this beautiful, majestic Alaska where we can be free and not worry about this stuff.
I wish I could say, be 100%. I would love the dream, and I'm working hard right along with you trying to make that happen.
I believe in you. I really do, and I'm talking about you. And I really do. I'm confident that we're going to do the right thing. But the point that I was making with the voting record, like District 13, one thing I love Eagle River. I love the people of Eagle River. In 13, 14, two districts that reside there, we did everything together, and it was beautiful. So whatever reason the split happened, and believe there's a reason. One thing about Eagle River, we are very loyal people. And what I remember, as long as that legislator was doing what we wanted, you didn't have to worry about a primary, right? So I don't think my primary is running against me. I think my primary is running against the governor, against our conservatives, against our Republicans, right? Because if I do everything you ask me to do, what more is there to do? Or
exactly.
Is it the time we're living in? I can ask that question, can I?
Yep.
You tried to protect me before, so yeah, let's just have fun. But yeah, so you almost have to just wonder, what is this about? It's not about the voting records. I'm sure if I was an older man or...
What you were voted by your constituents to do, you have stood by it since day one.
Have.
So exactly, why is there, in this case, you're talking about the candidate that's running against you here in the primaries.
Yes.
That the reason why you're out campaigning now instead of waiting till the primaries are over for the general election.
And utilize the money for the, the real opponent.
The big show.
Yeah. And actually, I really...
That would be, just to level of context here, that would be like President Trump getting out there while they're trying to decide if Biden or one of the other 30 candidates that they had running to, or Kanye West, I got to throw him out there right now too, just because
you're so funny.
He's having fun with it. That would be like him throwing all of his money away.
Yeah. And take it for granted, right?
Yeah.
Take that for granted. So, like this COVID thing is real. Money is tight. Like people are concerned, very concerned. Some are scared. So why would we put them at any more risk than necessary? Right? So if people aren't working, that affects everything. That affects donations. That affects everything. So it just makes me wonder. That's all.
Well,
it just
I'm going
makes me wonder.
Kind of sidestep here a little bit away
it.
from the legislative side of things.
Okay.
And put you as a resident of Eagle River.
Yes.
As a resident of Eagle River, you currently have the mayor of Anchorage who is trying to spend $22.5 million of the COVID CARES Act money on dealing with a program that has been a pivotal mark of his career since the day he got elected as mayor, almost 5 years ago now.
Yes.
So here he is trying to subvert money that is supposed to be helping the constituents that you're talking about, your other fellow residents there, to fight a problem that's not even COVID related.
That's dangerous. I'm going to tell you why. Because when the CARES Act came across at the House and the Senate, one thing the federal government said, do not use this money for your personal, right? For your personal shortfalls, for your unbalanced budget, for whatever financial crisis you have. This money, the CARES Act, is for the people that has been affected by COVID.
Those that have lost their
that
jobs,
lost their
those
businesses,
fighting on the front lines,
right? Okay, so you're and so as a legislator, I'm like, okay, so let's trust that our boroughs know what their needs are and that they would use that money appropriately, right?
Exactly.
And I'm like, we shouldn't have to micromanage people. What? Now look at this. So it's dangerous because the federal government is going to come back for every dollar that they put out there that was misused.
So in other words, if they spend that $22.5 million on the COVID money, 6 months from now, when the federal government decides to go and do their audit, how did you spend this money? Oh, wait a minute, you couldn't spend it on that. You now owe us that money back.
Oh, man. And
who's going to be, I mean, remember, we're talking to you as a resident now.
Yes. Well, I tell you, so we have Eagle Exit going on. And
you beat me to it. Go right ahead.
So Eagle Exit going on, and I'm like, okay, so what's our backup plan? Have to have strategy, right? And the way I look at it is, regardless of what happened, we should have options. I'm saying Eagle River and the Valley have more in common with our belief systems than Eagle River and Anchorage.
Yes.
Right?
I agree with that 100%.
And I'm neighbor to District 12, the Valley. So, like, I'm just saying, options make us rich, not money. So as a resident, whatever
since you brought them up, I'm going to take it that you are someone that is looking forward to or trying to help get Eagle Exit fully off of the ground and exit away from Anchorage.
Let me put my other hat back on.
Okay.
As a legislator, I support what the people want, and I'm not playing, right? Seriously, as a legislator, I have to stand there. But I told you, I love my district. I love their independence. If
they're
they,
chutzpah.
Yeah. So I support the people of my district.
I was watching Defiance last night, where you got the school teacher that was teaching the students how to do math and did the calculus, and then they got their SATs all the way through. Mm-hmm. And I love the word that he uses is your goddess. All I want from you is your goddess, and looking at those other teachers going, well, what in the world is that?
Yeah. And what was it?
It's your chutzpah.
Oh.
It's your ability to get out there and do what you are capable of doing.
Yep.
You're just not aware that you're capable of doing that yet.
Oh, and we all are capable, and we all have a part of responsibility, and let's do it. Let's get this done, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, this has been fabulous. It's more fun sitting with you than watching you, and I always enjoy watching you, but I am Sharon Jackson, House Representative for District 13, which is Chugiak, Eagle River, and J-Bear. I am a proud American. We face uncertain times such as these, and we need strong patriots in our legislator to be your voice. Your family matters to me. Your family matters to me. Your business matters. Your well-being matters, right? I have on my mask out of respect and your well-being.
Agreed.
I am Sharon Jackson representing you here in Alaska. Send me back to Juneau, so that we can continue to protect and defend our constitutional rights and the life that we hold so dear. As I said before, this is our America. This is our Alaska. And this is our home. I appreciate you.
Oh, thank you. And I appreciate you. Without you doing what you've been doing out there, who knows where our current state of Alaska state of affairs would be at this current moment in time.
Yes.
So I've got some really simple questions here for you.
Go for it.
Just because you are a conservative, I'd like to get these things out onto the table.
Mm-hmm.
Alaska's gun rights. Where do you stand on, we got HB 62, where it's a red flag law where they can come in and take your guns away from you?
No.
So when it comes to guns and the Second Amendment, it's simple yes or no answer. Are you for it, against it?
I'm keeping all of our guns. Okay? You can't have them. And it's not me. It is me. I have my few pieces, but my husband, don't play with that, people. Just leave it alone. Right? Leave it alone.
I love the one answer I was given by somebody here the other day. Says, I am so for the Second Amendment that I believe every citizen of the United States should have a Howitzer sitting on their front lawn, an F-35 jet in their parking spot, and a battle cruiser sitting out there ready to go for them at a moment's notice. And that was the best answer I had heard in a long time.
Right? Yeah, don't touch our pieces.
Throw the other one out there. Another easy one that's the answer for most of us is the right to life, abortions. I know that, didn't you guys here 2 years ago vote to take $335,000 out of the budget? And you guys, both in the House and the Senate, agreed to remove all funding for abortions.
Sure did.
The governor passes it, and in walks the court system, and they force us to put that money right back in again.
We don't have enough time to hit that stuff. That's a conversation of its own. But as you know, I did co-sponsor House Bill 178, right? I believe life is a gift from God. As much as we like to take credit and think that we create life, we're humans. We don't create life. It is a gift that needs to be protected. I love life. And I think about a lot of things. I think a lot. But I think about Mary when she was pregnant with Jesus and she was a virgin. Could you imagine her walking the life now and the things that she would hear, right?
Why are you doing that?
Oh, man.
Why? You shouldn't do that. Here, go do this instead. This child doesn't need to be born.
They would have disgraced her and Joseph.
And think about all the different Einsteins, Benjamin Franklin's.
We're talking about
Martin
Jesus.
Luther
I'm just saying,
King,
right?
I mean, that would never have been born.
That's right. That's right. So,
and haven't been born. I mean, how many bright minds have we not brought into this world?
Let me ask you, how many hidden figures haven't been born, right? And every life we take, we're taking an opportunity to heal, right? To fix cancer and all these other things that we have not done yet, people.
Who knows how many of who knows that we've killed off the one person that would have brought us that cure for cancer
I'm all
already.
about protecting life. Like we don't have the right to take life.
You gave me the answer that is usually what I expect to hear from a.
Yes.
And, well, I know that we are getting short on time here, and because I'm sure you've got an extremely busy schedule. It's that time of the year again for both of us. Even myself, I'm
right.
But I always got to chuckle when they say, oh, they're too busy to worry about the PFD. They're out fishing and barbecuing. I'm in my middle of my summer going, I'm too dang busy busting my butt trying to earn the money that I need to be able to survive this cold winter that's coming.
Yes, but you know, you're bringing up a point that I would like to have made. And that point is, I'm not a 90-day or 120-day legislator. I believe that this position is a 24/7 responsibility. So people have needs all the time. Our phones don't stop ringing, emails don't stop coming in, and I don't stop answering and setting up appointments because people have very important issues that an email is not sufficient. I will call you, set up an appointment for us to get together and sit down and discuss it. Right?
So too many times I have been misconstrued through a text message or an email because they don't see or feel the emotion that I'm trying to impart in my words.
Or they put emotions in there that wasn't intended, right? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. I don't want to be misunderstood. And like I said, you do matter to me. It's an honor and a privilege to have an opportunity to serve, you know. As you know, I ran for lieutenant governor. I wanted to clean up the election. That's another day, right? That's another full interview. But we're doing good. I want to share with you a call to action that we had this year because our poll workers are usually elders, you know, older people, and bless their hearts for being so dedicated. I always thank the people working at the polls in my district. I always thank them for being there. Well, with this COVID, it's not as easy. So there was a call to action on getting poll workers. And we have a youth ambassador program. And I received a call one day saying, we have a problem. We need some workers. And if you come to me with a problem, expect I'm going to work on it, right? That's what I do. So make sure you know what you want when you come. But I'm so proud. I believe, so the polls here in Wasilla and Anchorage and most areas, we have some out in the villages, which we have reach out there too. So I'm confident we will have poll workers. But I'm excited that we're going to see more young people working at the polls than we ever seen before.
I am trying to convince my own kiddo.
Oh, yeah.
She's already been promoting it to her friends.
How old is she?
She's 16, so she's old enough to do certain parts of it.
So let her know she'll make $12 an hour, right?
I have.
But what better way?
And it's not no long-term job neither.
No.
This is just for a little bit of your time.
And when I was her age, that's enough money because you look at the days, it's 17. It's a long day. But 2 days, you can buy your own school clothes, right? You can do a lot, or donate. And we even have groups that are adopting precincts, and they're using the money to do college scholarships. The creativity, like I said, these times are bringing vision and creativity, and I'm excited. I'm so happy because what better way to introduce our youth to the process of voting. Mm-hmm. And one more thing. 2020 is the 100th anniversary of women's suffrage. And with all this mess going on out here, I'm not hearing this celebration that, like, we should be excited about.
Exactly.
I mean, it's
gotten pushed aside.
It sure did. What? For what? Yeah, okay. So
That's another whole interview right there. I mean.
Yeah, so let's not take it for granted. And if you, like, I appreciate the fact that those that came before me paved the way for me to be where I am today on many levels, but able to vote, you know?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. So let's not
people
forget our history.
What it meant to not have a say, that you were literally nothing better than someone that was supposed to be silent in the background, not to be heard. Your voice and your opinions was meaningless at the time. And to watch these women step up and look at their husbands and look at the people that were in charge of things and say no more.
Yep.
And upon threats of death, I mean, some people even did die over it.
Yes, they did.
They stood up and fought to get the rights that we unfortunately take for granted.
Yes, yeah. So
many are trying to retake those rights away too.
Yes, and so I just would have been remiss to not mention that, you know, being a woman legislator, and you know what? Being the first African American woman Republican legislator. What an honor. And that's because I worked hard and I've earned.
Wait a minute. I think you just said something that I wasn't aware of.
Oh, hello.
So you are the first for Alaska?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Like I said earlier in this thing, I'm colorblind, so I never. That's something I don't really.
You know, it's history.
To.
It's our history, right? And I'm not the first Republican. We had two African American men that were Republicans and served in the House. Most of us probably don't know that, but I am the first woman.
Okay.
So, you know.
We broke records last year, too, as being the largest woman body to actually be elected into our government, too, both in the House and the Senate combined. We've got the largest.
Yeah, but, you know, I was thinking about, and I don't know why you triggered that memory, but we were also, it took us longer than ever to organize. That's another, but it was funny because.
Well, we can go on for hours.
Yeah, we can. We got a lot to talk about, people. But yes, and for them to want to use my seat as a negotiating tool, you don't do that. It wasn't about me. It was about the 17,000 constituents I represent, and you can't use people like that. No matter how you look at it, you don't do that. So yeah, another record. I took my oath 3 times, right? Yeah, I love it. I love you, and I look forward to continuing to be loyal and serve you as your House representative. Thank you for this time.
Oh, no problem. Let me.
You got some more? Okay.
I've got lists of questions, but what we've been discussing has been a lot more interesting than what I have written down here.
Well, yeah.
But I do want to cover the last few ones that I have.
Let's do
because this is more along the lines of what we are to expect here in the future.
Okay.
Why, or should any of us, or what reasons would you give that we should vote for you over your competitor that is currently running in the primary race right now?
Okay, so as you all know, I am the anointed, appointed one. And I thought to myself, I would never fight for this position because I trust the people know better who could serve them better. However, I believe the work that I have done, the loyalty without deviation whatsoever, no matter how painful it got, and it did. It was hard. I'm willing as long as you're willing to send me back, I will stand and I will fight for you as however long you have me. It's an honor. It's an honor to serve, and I look forward to. And we have some bills. Is that one of your questions?
It is. Maybe do the click flip.
Yes.
All right. If voted in, what would be your priorities to accomplish?
Yes.
And what bills would you push to be passed?
Okay, so my priority will always be the people and representing them. I just have to say that because that needs to be the priority for all of us. Now, as far as bills, I'm honored in my first year. I did have a bill that passed the House, HB 113. You remember what that is?
Nope, it's one of those that just kind of.
That's all right.
Unless it was a real affected everybody type of thing.
It does. If it affect. Okay, so I don't do. I don't do. I have a pet peeve, and my pet peeve are frivolous bills. I can't stand a frivolous bill that's like just affects right here. When we do a bill and have a bill pass, we need to think 20 years from now, 50 years from now, not tomorrow. So my bill that affects all of Alaska is the military spouse work preference bill. So some may think, well, you just said military spouse. Well, okay, so military spouses are the highest underemployed, unemployed, but highly educated. So when they come to Alaska, they're bringing some skills that we on our side say we can't find people to fill these positions, and we need nurses, we need good teachers, we need, and here's a whole body of skilled, certified professionals that can work. So normally when a military spouse, and I was both, I was active duty and I was a spouse as well. If they go to apply for a job, their application go to the trash, right? You're military, you're not here long. So getting that preference to our military spouses and Gold Star families, that helps everybody. It helps everybody. It helps Alaska to fill positions with qualified people that can do the work, right? But there's something that as a civilian you don't think about. So Alaska has the highest veteran per capita.
We do.
Okay, so when I say a happy spouse is a happy house. So if your spouse have a great job that they love, when it's time for active duty to re-enlist or get out, right, then they make decisions, well, we might as well stay.
That's how my family got to Alaska.
Right? So that does help all Alaska, right?
It does.
And
it does.
I'm proud that did pass the House. That was one of the most bipartisan bills, not only voted on, but the co-sponsorship is beautiful. So that shows we can work together. Now, my fun one, okay, so I have a bill, the 80-20 rule. And I know this is going to bring some heat, whatever. We have more nonprofits per capita.
We do.
And so
8,000 and counting.
Hey.
I wish that was an imaginary number, but it isn't.
So with this bill, and it's amazing the support I have for this bill, even from some nonprofits. The 80-20 rule will make it that 80% of the money is used towards the deed. So if you're a nonprofit working on homeless, 80% of that money goes towards the deed and 20% for the administrative part of it.
I love that bill, and that one's going to be a fight all the way through.
But that's okay.
I will stand behind you,
Thank
helping you
you
with that fight.
Thank you. But you see where I'm getting at.
I do, because right now that's not. Right now it's the exact opposite. 20% goes to where it's supposed to, and 80% is going into that staff and administration.
And how many nonprofits did you say? 8,000, right?
8,000 of them here in the state of Alaska.
8,000 nonprofits. If they were doing this, that takes the pressure off the state having to pay, or your borough having to pay all this ridiculous COVID money to get rid of homeless, when there's how many nonprofits that's supposed to be working on this. And I know it takes great courage to do the right thing.
Well, I know just in Anchorage alone, there's 500 different nonprofits currently working on the homeless problem.
Okay, so you see where we're going here, right?
I see exactly where you're going here. You got 500 out there, and they're...
Now, don't get me wrong. There are many charities. Actually, this covers 30% of the charities. 30%. 70% charities do what they do.
Right.
And thank you all, right? But that 30% can help a lot of people. And penalty, because you have to have a motivating factor. So our state gives money to nonprofits. A lot of nonprofits depend on money from the state.
Yep.
And so if you don't operate within this 80-20 rule, you're going to have to give a certain percentage of the money you receive from the state. You have to give it back.
I like that.
Okay.
I really, really do.
All right.
And we're going to end this with the one question that I usually get a chuckle out of, or it depends on the person, or I get a serious answer. It depends on the mood we're in. And right now I can't tell. It could go either direction.
Good luck.
Do we have a revenue or a spending problem in Juneau?
I'm just going to sit here and look at you. And like, I hear you screaming. We have a wasteful spending problem. We don't have a revenue problem. And actually, we have an opportunity right now to diversify in so many ways. So many ways. And I'm thinking of some that's been trying to get established and go through the due process for almost 20 years. We have a spending problem, we have a wasteful problem, and we can handle this. We can do this. And this is what I would like to say. If there was a fire in here, usually there's a fire escape route.
Yep.
Okay? So they tell the hundreds of people in the building, don't panic, line up and walk out one by one, and we get out safe. If everybody try to trample through that door, people will perish. That's the same thing with our budget, right? Let's be smart. What are the most important ones that we want to take care of? Let that happen, right? Everybody else, just wait. We'll get to you, but just orderly. Let's put it in order. Cut this budget, cut the waste. Use this innovative opportunity of time and create diversity of industry. You know what our greatest resource is?
Oh, people.
Hey!
That one's a no-brainer for me.
You got that right. You got that right. Yes, yes. Our greatest resource are our people.
Well, I would really love to thank you right now for having this interview with me.
Yes.
I really do enjoy a more free-flowing form, which is what today turned into, which is really exciting because hopefully those that are out there right now watching realize that we've got a serious issue going on in Juneau. We've got to make sure that August 18th is coming up.
Yes, it
that
is.
the right people get voted in, or we're going to be going right down the same path we've been on for the last 5 years.
We can't afford it. We can't afford it. So, Jackson for Alaska, FOR, Alaska.com, JacksonForHouse.com will lead you to me. And I am going to ask for your help financially because we have a mission. My wonderful, dedicated campaign team says we're not running a campaign. We are on a mission. We are on a mission for a better Alaska. And I really do need as much help as I can get. I'm not working another job, right?
Right.
So, let's do this. We can do this. Let's do it together. Your support means the world to me, and I can tell you where the money is being spent because you need to know,
Yep.
right? If I'm going in there for accountability, I first must be accountable, right? And I do that. So there's, we have some mailers going out. There's some digital I would like to do because realistically, we do have a COVID-19. Despite what it looks like, it's still happening. And so I have to, as a legislator, respect the people and their fears on this. So it has caused us to be more creative in how we reach people.
It has.
Right,
You,
and
you can't go do that door
oh
knocking
no!
like normally would be
Did you
happening
hear?
right now.
So I had the honor of working with legislators across the country on several things. Criminal justice reform task force I belong to. That's another day. But being creative and respectful and still getting your message out. It costs some money. I'm just going to tell you. But it's money well spent, right?
It is.
Invest in me so we can invest in Alaska with the right actions. Action Jackson, don't forget. I love it. That's
well,
fun.
thank you, Representative Sharon Jackson, for coming out today and talking with me. And I'm going to take just a moment to address the crowd that is out there watching us this afternoon. I would like to thank the Matsu Family Restaurant for providing us this wonderful area here to be able to hold these interviews in. Without them, this would not be possible at this point in time to make sure that our Alaskans and our legislators are all on the same page together and not just the 30-second snippet you get from our local news media anymore.
Right.
I would also like to point out that taking on the local mainstream media and exposing the dirt that is happening in Juneau and around our state has, for myself personally, turned into a full-time job. And I need your help. Anything that you can help provide and donate into my direction would be mostly appreciated. Everything that comes in is turned right back around and is being spent to improve my content, to be able to discover more stories out there, to make sure that we're able to give quality live streams like this one using technology that makes it so that you can hear us and not go, what did he just say?
Yeah.
So that you can be able to get out there in the market. So what I ask of you, if you can, is to go to Politadick.com. That's Politadick.com. Click that donate button. Any amount there helps from $5 to $500. If you want to donate more than that, by all means, just click the quantity button and choose how many times you want to multiply that by and donate today.
You're lucky.
Every little bit helps out. It makes it that much easier for me to continue to increase my content. One day I'm hoping to have people all around the state live streaming everything that is happening so that way we don't miss out on nothing and you get it unfiltered. Thank you all for tuning in today. Thank you, Sharon Jackson, for being with me.
Thank you.
And this has been wonderful.
It has. Thank you very much.